Hi, my name is Ken Davidian, and welcome to Season 1, Episode 4 of Organization Theory in Space. This video series is based on the Oxford Handbook of Organizational Change and Innovation, second edition, edited by Scott Poole and Andy Van de Ven. Today, we'll be getting an overview of the third major part of the handbook on the topic of life cycle models of change. As you recall, the life cycle motor is one of the four idealized motors of how change occurs. In reality, multiple motors are working across multiple levels and combined with and dependent on each other. We'll talk about each one separately first before we start combining them together. You probably remember from our first episode of OT in Space that the life cycle motor posits that an organization is born, grows, matures, then dies. This model is actually very good with highly regulated and controlled markets, like the introduction of a new drug product. The third part of the handbook covers 5 chapters. It's not as many as we had in the dialectic motor video, but it's still a lot of material, so let's get started. Chapter 13 describes the life cycle model in detail and finds that it's easy to understand, and it's typically the go-to theory for many people. However, the same characteristic of being the go-to theory is actually a disadvantage too, as is the fact that it breaks down very easily, and different phases rarely have very sharp boundaries. Chapter 14 describes typical organizational responses to unexpected mandatory change. Companies can stall or hedge using legal and PR tactics, or they can face the change opportunistically, looking for ways to make it work. Chapter 15 talks about organizational routines as having a problematic relationship with change. Because routines are sometimes blamed for causing things to be slow, we sometimes want them to change. But when we want to minimize uncertainty of what will happen next in the future, we want routines to stay the same. The authors go as far as to offer even a new motor of change called routine patterning. Chapter 16 reviews and updates the work of Meyer and his colleagues, including the 2x2 matrix evaluating the mode of change and the level of change. The literature review shows that more research is being conducted on organizational level continuous change and less research in field level discontinuous change. Finally, Chapter 17 talks about institutional change. Institutions are relevant to any organizational research and provide a stable set of meanings, practices, rules, and norms. Any difference in an institution's form, quality, or state is called an institutional change. So, looking at how this part of the handbook is distributed on the level of analysis hierarchy, the life cycle model chapters are distributed between the overview and societal levels and the organizational and intra-organizational levels. I don't know if that means anything, and we'll just keep an eye on this. So, the life cycle motor is super important to the space sector, and I think since space policy, as well as regulation are very hot topics in the space industry, and since they are based in institution theory, we need to understand that, and we need to understand how institutions change to be able to deal with those changes. That's all for this time. And next time on OT in Space, we'll give you an overview of the fourth of the 7 handbook parts, this one discussing the evolutionary motor of change. I hope you found the material interesting, and if so, please subscribe or hit the notification bell to make sure you don't miss what comes next. OT in Space is produced by Impossible Research, LLC. Impossible Research, or IRL, mainly conducts process research on the topics of innovation and industry emergence within the context of commercial space industries. IRL also offers research consulting and STEAM outreach. This video is intended for educational purposes only.